your economic thinking. So, Adam Smith is considered as the father of economics. In his book, that is an inquiry into the nature and causes of the wealth of nations, what he given a foundation for economics. He had described in that book that economics is a study of wealth. So, what he wanted is he wanted that intervention of the government should be limited. That means there should be a limited interventions of government in the economic activities, and more preference and more freedom should be given to the individuals. So this is known as theory of laissez-faire. If they ask what you mean by theory of laissez-faire, then you have to give this. That is, in theory of laissez-faire, Adam Smith wanted a limited government intervention in the economic activities, and he argued for more freedom to individuals. Next comes your Karl Marx. The Industrial Revolution led to the establishment of new industries and labor union. So, there occurred marked changes in technology and production process because of this industrial revolution, which led to the establishment of new industries, more and more number of new industries and labor union. So, later it was occurred marked changes in the technology, new inventions were done, and production process increased. Means they took changes in the production process. The ideas put forward by whom? By Karl Marx are rooted in these changes. Marx gave importance to the role of laborers in the production process. He gave importance for whom? For laborers. He maintained that the basics of production is the manpower of laborers. That means he gave the root of the production is who? Manpower of laborers, and that the price of the product is the reward for us. So the price of that product is reward for it. What the basis of production is who? Manpower of laborers, and what reward the manpower will get? That the price of the product. The laborers get only a portion, while the lion's share goes to capitalist as profit, isn't it? Whatever, if you work for an organization, we will get a part, a big part. I might be a small portion of that reward as a salary for the laborers or wages for the laborers, and most majority of the profit is enjoyed by the organization. Marx calls this surplus value. He dreamed about a society where there is no difference between the haves and have-nots. The ideas of Marx was continued in his magnum opus Das Kapital. According to his Das Kapital, what he wanted is there should not be difference between haves and have-nots. Means poor and rich. Those who want house, those who are having everything, and those who don't have anything. That means there should not be any discrimination between this haves and haves not. Next comes your Alfred Marshall. What he presented several new principles in the field of economics. He had brought new principles in the field of economics. So he believed that wealth should ultimately result in the welfare of the society. What he believed? That the wealth should be ultimately result in the welfare of the society. Whatever if you earning, that should be for the purpose of the welfare of the society. Economic activities must be welfare oriented. Whatever economic activities is done, that should be economic oriented. It should be benefited to the economy. These principles are contained in his work, Principles of Economy. Whatever you wanted, that is included. That principles are included in his book, Principles of Economics. The world population reached 160 crore at the beginning of 20th century and kept increasing. Are we able to produce resources for such a multitude of population? No, isn't it? Whether we can fulfill all the wants of entire population of the world? No. So how can we judicially utilize the limited resources? How we can utilize? Either we can decrease either we can fulfill our basic needs, or what happened by increasing the cost of that product, so that only the limited people can purchase that product. These questions promoted the British economist Leon Robbins to concentrate on the ever increasing want, isn't it? Whatever our wants are, always it goes on increasing, and limited resources. He suggested that we should prioritize prioritize our wants for the judicious utilization of limited resources. That means we have to sacrifice our wants for the because of the limited resources. Paul A. Samuelson, the American economist, presented his ideas in the beginning of the 20th century. What he maintained that a nation's financial stability depends on how efficient our economic planning is and how proper utilization of resource. So here they had given this question. Adam Smith, he gave the study of wealth of nations. Then who gave importance for labors? Karl Marx. Alfred Marshall, what he gave importance for the welfare of the society. Then unlimited wants and limited resources was given by whom? British economist Leonard Robbins. Paul A. Samuelson gave importance for the nation's financial stability or on efficient economic planning. So there are some Indian economists also. So Indian thinkers have also contributed much to economics. Among them, the prominent one is our Chanakya. India's economic thought date back to the Maurya dynasty. Chanakya, the chief advisor of Chandragupta Maurya, wrote a famous book, that is Arthashastra. So in India, economic is known as Arthashastra. Who this work is written by the famous advisor of Chandragupta Maurya, that is Chanakya. It is a major work of Indian economic thoughts. Lack of effective economic activities can bring a nation to ruin. If the economic activities, there is very lack in economic activities, that will result for the ruin of a nation. He emphasized the importance of the following: the right policies for a nation's progress. This would help the nation to prevent loss of revenue. So what he gave importance for the right policies for a nation's progress. So it will help the nation to prevent a loss of revenue. Chanakya played a key role in making Magadha a powerful nation. He gave the key role in making Magadha a powerful nation. Next comes our Dadabhai Naoroji. He was a well-known economist in British India. He pointed out that Britishers were draining our resources. That means Britishers are taking over all the resources of India. And this led to the economic crisis and poverty, because Britishers had taken all our properties and resources. So because of that, India was facing economic crisis and poverty. That is known as drain theory. The main reason for the drain of resources were the British officers in India were paid high salaries and the Indians were paid very few. Because of that, more and more cash or salaries were given to Britishers. Goods made from Indian raw materials and resources brought at extremely low price. Whatever goods which was manufactured in India was sold to other countries with very low price. Other countries means that is British. And were sold at high price in the Indian market. Similarly, whatever see how in according to drain theory, for example, whatever resources were available in India, that was sold to British for very low prices. And what this British people did, they converted these resources into a finished goods, and later they sold that same goods at high prices for India. Indian wealth was robbed for expanding the British Empire. Whatever wealth was there for India, it was robbed for the expanding of British Empire. Indian laborers were treated as slaves, and farm and industrial products were exported to England. So, the studies of Ramesh Chandra on British exploitation of India also strengthened the Indian economic thought. The studies reveal how the Western civilization and British exploitation ruined India.